Welcome back to the channel, and today a quick review for this. This is The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and this was published, I believe, between 1879 and 1880, and collected here in a novel because it was serialized originally. Now, it is a Russian theology novel from the Victorian era. It is an era of Russia where they are still feeling the effects of, Catherine the Great, Napoleon, and most importantly, the abolition of serfdom in Russia. And those have telling effects. In fact, all of these things are basically referenced here within. And this is the vintage edition. It is a newer translation, and it is one that came recommended, though I did kind of check it against this older translation I have here, the Constance Garnett translation, this one. But I found that the conversations are kind of a little bit more modern and natural in translation from this edition. So this is the one I actually read. So please consider this more of a review of this translation. So this is a book with an incredibly high barrier to entry. I wouldn't recommend this to everyone, but for those that like their classics, for those that like novels of a theological nature that ask big human questions, this is a very good book for that. To be fair, it's a very character heavy book. The plot tends to be there to pull the reader along with it. The characters, I did not find a lot of them to be particularly likable, but I really appreciated the character interactions, and I find myself thinking back to more the character conversations and interactions more than the characters themselves. It is a book that, to be honest, may take 400 to 450 pages really until you kind of see what the author's intention is and kind of are being steered towards those big questions. It is a long book. I'm not going to beat around the bush. About 800 pages depending on which kind of edition you get, and about 300 to 320,000 words by my rough word count. It will take a little while, and it will seem a little dense at first until you kind of pick up each character's personality, their way of speaking, and then once you get the flow, which does come, believe me, the second half does flow very, very smoothly, and it is not a hard read. It can feel a little denser than it actually is early on. Very important things that it talks about that I really appreciate, the themes of the novel. So what does this novel do that's important? I think it really looks at the Russian peasant of the time, and more the social economic structure of Russia at the time, the class system. It really feels like it is on trial at this point, and you wouldn't be surprised, having read this novel and others of the time. This was written concurrently with War and Peace, actually being written almost in conjunction to each other. You can kind of see that a revolution is coming in Russia, and you can see the thoughts and feelings of each class in Russian society through this novel. And it really asks some important questions. It really looks at love, belief, systems, kind of like mental states, interpersonal dynamics, nature versus nurture, the importance of a considered existence. All of those really heavy topics come up, and especially in the last few hundred pages of this novel. It's not always, and I will go to the early stages of this book, sometimes conversations can feel a bit like folly at times until you get to understand what they're actually kind of setting up. It isn't always the most entertaining novel. If you had to really ask me and push it, I think Tolstoy wrote the better novel, but it is one that is I'm deeply appreciative of having read, and those closing few hundred pages, the kind of questions it asked, the way it made me think, I really, really appreciated. And it certainly does get very entertaining in the later stages. I'd actually give this a 4.7 out of 5.